Hello guys, today I will be explaining a new anime series called Am I Actually the Strongest? The story begins with Haruto, who endured relentless bullying throughout junior high, became withdrawn, confining himself to his room well into adulthood. Hope for the future dwindled, and he aimlessly wandered through life. One ordinary day, a mysterious light emerged from the device, transporting him to a whole new dimension. There, he was greeted by a goddess who celebrated his selection for reincarnation, a decision made after careful consideration. Perplexed at first, Haruto soon realized that it meant he had passed away in his room when he witnessed the radiant light. The goddess revealed that the new world he would be sent to revolved around magical prowess, and she graciously granted him immensely powerful skills to aid him in his new life. Encouraging him to embrace this opportunity fully, she departed. However, Haruto had different aspirations. He yearned for a peaceful existence, utilizing his overwhelming abilities to enjoy a life of solitude. Firm in his resolve, he implored the goddess to reincarnate him according to his desires. As the light flashed, he descended and regained consciousness in the body of a newborn baby. Though he retained his memories from his previous life, he grumbled at the prospect of starting from infancy. Surrounded by joyful faces, the news of his birth reached the king, filling him with elation as he recognized the royal insignia on Haruto's left chest. Contented, Haruto realized he had been born into a life of nobility. Soon after, a sorceress arrived with an orb to assess his magical aptitude. The king anticipated his son to possess extraordinary mana, considering his lineage and the heroism of his parents. Their expectations were high, assuming he would be at least level 40 or even 50. To their surprise, Haruto's magical prowess measured a mere level 2, devoid of any elemental affinities. He could only wield barrier magic. Astounded and disappointed, the king and queen could not believe that their esteemed bloodline had seemingly produced such an underwhelming child. Fearing the repercussions of such a revelation among their subjects, they swiftly decided to fabricate Haruto's demise during childbirth. Shocked by his parents' simultaneous pronouncement, Haruto feared a fate reminiscent of his past life awaited him, surrounded by despicable individuals. Even the sorceress found the king and queen's solution extreme, but her objections were silenced by the king's authority. He commanded that the child be disposed of in a distant forest, far away from the kingdom's borders. Unbeknownst to them, the frustrated goddess watched, dismayed by the failure of others to recognize Haruto's true potential. Restricted by a measurement device that only recognized double-digit levels, she also forgot to grant him an elemental affinity. She confided in her colleague that she had actually set Haruto's level to an astounding 1002, though her excessive display of overpowering abilities drew both praise and criticism. Left in a baby basket deep within the forest, Haruto struggled to move, hindered by his tender age. Determined, he embarked on teaching himself the ways of barrier magic. To his surprise, he found it remarkably easy to manipulate. With a sense of playfulness, he conjured a cube reminiscent of tales from the legendary realm of Kakashi. Delighted by its versatility and the minimal mana it consumed, he levitated himself, relishing the newfound power. However, his delight was short-lived as a magical wolf materialized behind him, launching a sudden attack. Haruto's barrier shielded him, its resilience surprising him. In response, he conjured multiple smaller barriers, hurling them at the ferocious creature, but they proved ineffective. Undeterred, he encased the surrounding trees in barriers, toppling them upon his assailant, inflicting some damage. Yet, to his dismay, the creature persisted, refusing to succumb to his onslaught. Haruto, filled with determination, grasps a chunk of earth and hurls it towards the magical beast. Before the land mass strikes, to his surprise, the creature speaks, revealing itself to be a female. Both Haruto and the beast calm down as it confesses its initial plan to devour him and restore its depleted mana. Astounded by Haruto's strength, unable to respond verbally, he creates a barrier that translates his thoughts into audible sound. Introducing himself as Haruto, he recounts the events leading to his current situation. The magical beast, sensing an extraordinary level of mana emanating from Haruto, surpassing human limits, hastily concludes that he must be the reincarnated Demon King. In an attempt to sound more impressive, Haruto decides to embrace the title of Demon King, further confirming her suspicions. Amused by the beast's gullibility, he finds her submissive behavior excessive and promises not to harm her if she refrains from attacking him. Startled by his unexpected kindness, the creature is deeply moved and pledges her loyalty. Haruto names her Flay, bidding her farewell, but she insists on addressing him as Lord. Flay is delighted by her new name, cementing a pact where Haruto becomes her master. Taken aback by this development, Haruto struggles to respond and collapses due to hunger caused by a lack of breast milk. Alerting Flay of his predicament, she transforms into a human form, hoping to assist her newfound master. However, their interaction is interrupted by the sound of someone approaching. Using a barrier to maintain privacy, Haruto instructs Flay to inquire about the intruder's identity. A man named Gold steps forward, expressing his intention to claim Haruto. Instantly refusing without hearing his full explanation, Flay questions his authority. Gold wonders on what grounds she denies his request, prompting Flay to assert that the baby now belongs to her as her master. Perplexed, Haruto is unable to recall consenting to such an arrangement. Gold reveals that the child is actually a relative of his, and he has returned to take custody after the circumstances that led to Haruto's abandonment have played out. Flay, confused by the family's sudden interest in a child they previously discarded, questions their motives. Gold shares a heartbreaking tale of how he and his wife lost their own baby in the past, believing that every child who survives the perilous journey of birth deserves a chance to live. This tragic narrative brings Flay to tears. Gold finds Flay's outpouring of emotion unusual but recognizes her care for Haruto. He proposes that if he takes in the child, Flay can serve as his attendant. Touched by the poignant story, Flay agrees to the terms and conditions to solidify the agreement. As a gesture of finality, Gold destroys the baby's basket, creating the illusion that it was ravaged by wild animals. 9 years have passed since that fateful night, and a more grown-up Haruto sits down with his new family for breakfast. He greets everyone, revealing that his original plan was to leave as soon as he no longer needed milk, but his adopted family has been so kind to him that he decided to stay. However, his younger sister, Char, still seems distant, and it makes him uneasy. Flay, playing her role as Haruto's assistant flawlessly over the years, notices this too. Char is surprisingly open with Flay, their magical beast companion, as she helps serve breakfast. The little girl eagerly wants to play with Flay afterward, but Haruto instructs Flay to prioritize spending time with his sister. He watches them play outside and his mother joins him. She comments that Char's distant behavior may be because she doesn't know how to act around boys. Haruto wonders if she can somehow sense that he is older in his mind. His mother comforts him and suggests that he can win Char's heart by showing that he is a reliable older brother. As the heir to their estate, she encourages him to spend more time outside instead of isolating himself in his room. His mother assures him that she will do everything she can to help them bond. Haruto retreats to his room, lying in bed while contemplating leaving. Meanwhile, a clone of himself stands nearby. He considers the logistics of escaping, but remembers that Flay would have to accompany him, which might further worsen Char's feelings towards him. He knows the Fenrir won't accept staying behind while he leaves. Haruto envisions Char's reaction, but also realizes that staying would burden him with unwanted responsibilities. Looking at his clone, he explains that it has been a 9-year project, a replica he created for his eventual escape. He has studied barrier magic extensively to make this realistic robot copy, but it still lacks the ability to talk or move. He understands that if he wants to leave without causing sadness, he must also create a clone of Flay, which poses an entirely new challenge. His thoughts are interrupted when Gold knocks on his door, requesting his presence. Haruto knows this interaction won't end well for him. Gold leads him to the compound, informing him that he will be taught how to use a sword. Haruto's grumpy expression clearly shows his lack of interest. Gold points out that Haruto has an unusually low mana level, emphasizing the need for him to develop other skills. His adopted father asks if he has any interest in other fields. Haruto is on the verge of revealing his love for staying indoors, but he stops himself and instead expresses his interest in studying ancient magic. This surprises Gold, who realizes that the young boy sees the potential in the lost magic of the mythical era. However, Gold insists that Haruto also needs to practice swordsmanship since he might have a hidden talent for it. Despite Haruto's reluctance, he is given a wooden sword for training. Observing Gold's aura, Haruto acknowledges that his father is a seasoned warrior known as the Earth-Shattering Warhammer. He knows he wouldn't stand a chance in a direct confrontation and doesn't want to get hurt. To compensate for his perceived physical weakness, Haruto erects a barrier, demonstrating his alleged poor physical ability. He then leaps towards his father with an attack, but the senior easily dodges it. The impact shatters Haruto's wooden sword and creates a crater, leaving Gold in shock. Realizing there might be more to Haruto than meets the eye, Gold decides to get a little more serious to test his suspicions. He charges at Haruto with an attack, but the young boy stylishly evades it. Gold is astonished because it should be impossible for someone under level 30 to dodge like that. Haruto himself feels something strange within him. He remembers using a mana measuring orb that showed hundreds of mana, leading him to believe he might be at that level. However, the orb's reading remained red, disappointing him. Little does he know, his level is actually over 1,000, far surpassing the recorded levels of any human. Gold suspects that Haruto might have an innate awakening, but he keeps this theory to himself. Instead, he suggests they continue training to mold Haruto into an elite swordsman. Meanwhile, Char watches their first lesson with interest. Later that night, as Char sleeps on her mother's legs, her parents discuss the possibility that Haruto might be a descendant of a demon from the secret royal family records. While rare, children born from such unions may exhibit demonic traits. They believe this might also explain Flay's protective behavior towards Haruto. The mother reveals that the royal insignia possesses mysterious powers that they have yet to fully understand. Regardless of the truth, Gold promises his wife that they will protect Haruto and provide him with a happy life. Char overhears this conversation, intrigued by the mysteries surrounding her brother being a demon. This brings an end to our episode. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel, Annie Explainer.